So here I start off with a dark green background because it's basically the background or the backdrop color, and then a little bit more dark and some light green adding there. So I'm basically just starting to get some color into the image that probably will be the color palette that I will use throughout. So I can just use a color picker to pick the image right there. So I'm just kind of adding the variation of green and a little brownish color in the back. And this video is sped up times 2, so it's probably gonna end around, I don't know, 15-20 minutes. And now I'm adding a little bit of tree. So the background is gonna be pretty rough because I planned beforehand that I'm gonna blur out the background. So I'm not trying to put a lot of detail in there, or so it's just gonna be a pretty blurry background. And a lot of you asking me why am I painting kind of far away. So I've seen some video of people who are better than me, that they painting far away and they look pretty awesome. And I kind of experiment on my own to painting far away since I don't know, probably earlier this year, and I found out that it's pretty good. You can, when you're painting far away, you're not concerned so much about detail, and since you're going to painting the overall image, it's a lot more beneficial when you not concerned so much about detail at all. Just trying to get the light and shadow, and trying to get, sometimes you can get a very almost realistic looking in terms of lighting, and then you can capture, because at this stage you want to capture the correct lighting and the correct form, and also most of our composition. So you want to create the overall image with the right set of lighting and composition, and just thinking into a big shape. So this one, the lighting come, I flipped the canvas, so but now we are on the correct spot. So the lighting coming from the top right hand corner of the image, and basically coming from behind the rabbit, but a little toward the front, just slightly, not a lot, but basically it's coming from the right. So now I'm just, as you can see, the rabbit color is blue. I don't know what kind of rabbit it is. I saw some of the image on the internet. I thought this kind of rabbit looks pretty cool because it looked like it has furry cheek and have some beard and mustache or something like that. And now I'm adding, and it has like black face and black ears, so it's cool. So now I'm trying to get the overall shape of the face. I zoom in a little bit because I'm gonna try to get the eyes with the highlight, and then I'm gonna zoom out so that I can go take a look at the overall again. I just want to get the highlight of the eye, basically. There's not like a lot of detail, just the part around the eye that get hit by the lights and the highlight of the eyes, and that's what I want to get. And then we're just gonna zoom out and get the overall image again, or I will just kind of stay on at this stage and get a little bit of fur going on the backside, and adding some more variation of the black onto the face. I just say it's a little lighter on this side, and I'm using a lot of texture brush in this one, and especially the texture brush that will give me a fur look. And there's no particular order how I would use texture brush. This would be, I have a few favorite. And now I get the lighting on the bunny kind of set up, and making another layer to make a foreground, which just will be a bunch of blade of grass laying in the front. So basically this image has 3 layers. So every time I'm trying to do a speed painting, I will try to set the backdrop, the midground, which is where the action will most likely happen, because most of the time you see a lot more in the midground, and then the foreground, which is the part that close to you, which has like the 2 rabbit in the beginning, and in this one only like a bunch of blade of grasses. And the blade of grasses, you don't have to set up the lighting as the same as the character, because sometimes light will hit through um, each individual glass because it look kind of translucent. But if you have a group of say foliage or a group of thick glasses, then you're going to catch the light on one side and the other side won't catch the light. So, but if you have individual blade of grass like laying right next to each other, which is not like considered thick bushes or thick foliage, then usually it will be translucent. And now flipping back, so as you can see, I adding the sort of like a costume, or not a costume, but some strap, leather strap onto the rabbit dude, so that he kind of look a little more fantastical with his, um, leather strap on his forearm. And initially I had him holding a sword before I draw this bird, but I cut that part out, and I'll have him hold the bow and arrow instead. And I make another layer behind him, which is right behind him, but right in front of the background. And I'm trying to make the head of a golden eagle, which I'm trying to make this whole his whole body to make it look like a fallen griffin. And now just at this point, I'm only concerning about light and shadow and some of his feather texture. I'm not focusing so much on his detail, or trying to go in and trying to make individual feather, or trying to make his see his claws or all the legs. At this part, I'm just focusing on light and shadow pretty much. And pretty much you see most of his body, especially on his left side, you see a bunch of even tone of a darkest brown, and then not kind of brownish greenish, sort of the color will be blend into the background, because I want to create a color harmonies. So one thing about color of each, if you have a creature that have different kind of color, and the thing is those color have to blend into the environment, and whatever the lighting in your environment color is, that will affect the color of each character that's in the scene. So that's the rule of lighting. So say if you're standing in the red room and you're wearing a white shirt, then obviously your shirt would turn into a bit of red because it's white. And so too with any other color that you bring into the environment. And that's why I think some of the image, especially if you're beginner to paint in the digital painting, you will have some sort of a hard time if you paint it a bit too thick, and your color become a little bit too bright, and it's you see some digital painting that looks, that doesn't look like it has color harmony at all, because in digital coloring or digital painting, it's the color, if you're not turning your opacity on and off, or trying to tone it down a little bit, it will color will become too rich and it will not be harmonized. Unlike in traditional painting, it depends on the color that you prime your canvas or you prime your illustration board with. Then when you paint, it doesn't usually go 100% opaque. But in digital, when you go 100%, it will go 100% opaque. It doesn't, become translucent, but you want, unless you set your opacity setting or change your opacity along with when you're working on. So that's why, when a lot of beginner digital painter, when they start painting, their color become either too rich, or sometimes if they have too much translucent or too much opacity, then it become a little bit too muddy. So it's gonna take some time to get used to these, and you're gonna have to try to balance your color. And there's no such thing as muddy color either, because it depends on how you harmonize your color on your image. So let's just say if your image is in the tone of like 50% saturation, and you pushing certain color and then it will be fine. It depends on how you harmonize the color. And the reason the color become muddy because some color become too rich, and some the neck right next to the color that doesn't have a lot of richness in it. So, anyways, talk about color a little bit too much. And now I think I finished painting the griffon in the back, and I use a blur tool to blur him. So I got the blur effect because if he's too crisp, or if I have put too much detail on him, then he will be competing with the bunny on the front. Even though if I try to put a lot of more detail on the bunny, but it's still I don't want it. And plus he's big, so to the size, and the more I push him away, the more he'll look massive because I want him to be really big compared to this bunny guy. So he's like way in the back, and now I'm painting a bunch of arrows on him, and eventually, when I forgot to measure the arrow size, so when I painted him the rabbit later with his the arrow bag or the arrow carrier pocket or something, and then I measure the arrow in his slot, his magazine with the arrow in the back. It looked like it was equal, or in the back was kind of bigger. So if you notice in this part that I paint the arrow, it's the arrow are still like really long and really big. But if you go back to the beginning, you see this arrow like shrunk a bit smaller, and I resizing this arrow to make them a lot smaller because of the scale that I want them to be in. Because when you paint illustration, you have to watch out for the scale or the concept art illustration or anything, because if you have like the same object and you kind of have it far away, sometimes you don't think about it, you might forget. But when I was painting this guy with the arrow, then I compare the arrow that he's carrying with the arrow in the back. It looks about the same size or even smaller. That make the image look weird and look like the bird is not that big, or the griffin is not that big. And now we coming to paint in front of the bunny guy. So, and I'm just gonna start adding some color onto him because now he has only two colors with some metal on him. So I think he need a bit more color to need to accessorize him with a bit more color to make him look a bit. It's kind of make him become a little more of center of attention too. And now I'm making a bow. I got to make him a little longer because you got to be able to shoot pretty far. And the nature of recurve bow, they basically like one of those Mongol bow. They can shoot pretty far, and they're making the bow made from animal horns, and it's flicked the other way, but then you reinforce it to the opposite way so that when you flick, it's going back to the same natural curve that it has. That's why it's called recurve bow. I think you can find the making of recurve bow on YouTube, especially the Mongol recurve bow. And now I'm making a string, the bow. There you go, and I add a little bit of dodge onto it because probably the bow going to reflect some of the hot spot or highlight. And then on the right side of the bow also receive some light, but not so much because it's kind of carrying it into the shadow zone. But I can add that just a little bit as a hint to give it some form. There you go. I think that should be enough because in the bottom he has like a bunch of grass. And now I'm drawing his other arm. And then make him a bit thinner. Now I'm drawing his the bow magazine, or I don't know what this is called, like a bow carrier. And I hate that motorcycle. What are you doing here? And I just copy the bow onto there. That's why it's become the same kind of size, because just go now, please. All right, and now making the bow become darker by making a multiple copy and merge them all together. And now you notice, like what I said earlier, the bow kind of become the same. The arrows become, sorry, I was keep saying bow because I got distracted by those motorcycle. And the arrow kind of like the same size of the arrow in the back, even though it looks a lot closer because of the value. But eventually, I realized that those bows are a little bit too long. It made the bird look kind of too small. And then in the end, I decided that I decided to trim those bows to be a lot smaller. And yeah, I just make the multiple bow in on his back by copying and pasting and rotating to save a lot of time. And then I'm making I make them a few layers. So like some of them are pushed in the back, so they have lower opacity. And I went in and erased some of them. And after I have them all together, I paint some of them so they'll be paint some of them thicker, so they'll be like more upfront, like what I'm doing right now, adding some highlight and adding some shadow onto it. And some of the bow I want to push into the back. I don't touch them that much. I use an eraser to erase part of the thickness of the paint, so it kind of look as if it was pushing back into the space, so it become a bit more translucent or transparent. And now I decide I'm going to give him some belt, like a really thick belt, maybe some sort of like a leather armor sort of thing that he wear, like the archer warrior, and have some color on him a little bit. And maybe some metal stud. And some protective flap in the front. And there, adding a little bit more color decoration in the front here. So now we add some more light onto his other arm. So now here we have the bunny, the archer bunny. And I'm trying to, at this point, I'm trying to add a bit more shadow underneath his face a little bit, so to give him the separation between his skull and his torso. Right there. I think that looks okay enough. Alright, so I think this is it. So here's the archer bunny, and if you notice, this arrow and these arrows are a lot different now. So yeah, it actually, I did put the arrow on the different layers, so that's the way I usually do things. If I need to change something like arrow on the griffin, like I'll put the big stuff onto the same layer. So all these small arrows are on the same layer. So if I need to fix something, I can just go in and fix it, like what I did with the arrow over there. I just change them to small one, copy and rotate, and put them and erase some of them and paint a little bit on some of them. And then I add these two little bunny over here. So just kind of like give him a bit legitimate reason. So it's so the audience can sympathize why he killed a griffin. Otherwise, it'd be like, why is the bunny killed a griffin? But I mean, of course, because maybe the griffin probably gonna eat him. But that's just one reason. But if I put a little more of a little bunny, it's kind of cuter, little tiny, vulnerable, then it's probably give him a more or a better reason to take down the griffin. But anyways, thanks for watching the video. You can go to my channel, and I have now over 400 video. Some of them are really old, but a bunch of new ones from 2012, 2013. They are pretty good to watch. So you can just go there, and there's a bunch of video from just basic drawing with pencil and paper, and to the Photoshop tutorial for basic to intermediate. And you can also check out the premium tutorial. Most of them are 2 hours long or more, and they go into depth about how I use layer, how I use a certain modifier for certain things, and there's a bunch of trick on different video, from portrait painting from basic, and then figure to like character design and all that kind of stuff. And it's only a few bucks, supporting the free channel and the website, so you can have more free tutorial coming. Tutorial. Anyways, and I also have a private session or a workshop that we usually do one-on-one weekly session, but you get a homework every day. So I have a 5-week course and 9-week course. So yeah, most of them are basically for if you want to improve on your digital painting skills, or if you want to focus on character design, or if you want to focus on environmental design or speed painting. But anyways, however you want to do it, it's your session. So I just have it, and check your availability. If I have over there, click on top. All right, well, thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoy the video, and click like on the video if you like the bunny. Well, there will be more video coming each week, and I'll see you guys later. Have a wonderful day. Bye bye.